Kim, thanks so much for being here. I figured we would do another one of these videos because I think the last one was pretty well received.
Yes.
I know going into, well, not really sure what we're going into next with COVID spikes and everything, but something I'm hearing from a lot of my clients and just from people in my life is that there's a lot of concern, a lot of stress and anxiety about what might happen this winter. And particularly for moms who are really the center of the household in many different ways, what kind of stressors they're dealing with. And I was reading over the post that you wrote for our Facebook account recently, and there was a lot of stuff that really resonated with me. Can you talk a bit about that post?
Yeah, I mean, it's very heartfelt for me because I feel like even being a mom, I mean, I've always struggled with a few things, but after you become a mom, you really have to have this fight with your own identity and figuring out now who this new person is. And especially right now in the pandemic, but I feel like in any normal circumstance, but especially right now, I think a lot of us as moms, especially for me, myself, are struggling with really trying to manage the time. And it's almost like you're just put into this even more zoomed in attention on your kids and how to separate that time. Even if you've always been a stay-at-home mom, it just feels like it's even more of a challenge now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Because even if you were already home, you're now forced to just be focused in. Okay, now you're being told to stay at home. You're being told to give all this attention. And now with an older child who's in middle school, I've got doing virtual schooling, and
yeah,
that's insane. Plus a 2-year-old who I'm just like, it's a lot. It's just hard.
Yeah.
What I put into that post, it was just, I beat myself up a lot. I feel that judgment and I feel it on myself. I feel like I'm supposed to be a certain person, up to a certain standard. And it's a really hard battle some days.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of positive feedback from people who felt like it was, it touched them. They could relate to it. And particularly when I was reading through it, I thought the moment that stuck out to me the most was this, coming home and turning your car off and just staying in your car for a minute and trying to take a mental breather. And I don't really do that because I feel like I'm so focused on the next thing, but I think sometimes I should try to incorporate that, whether that's a good thing or some people might see that as a bad thing, I just have to have this moment. But I think that's a good thing. We're going to talk in a minute about how to kind of incorporate things like mental breathers into life. So, I did want to highlight some of the challenges that we're seeing today, particularly with moms, whether they work full-time, part-time, they work, stay at home, what have you, whatever the role is. I know from just looking over some of the statistics, trying to juggle that work and home life balance is particularly difficult. So, one study found that couples that were married revealed in their relationships that if they both worked, moms ended up taking care of the children 76% of the time. So even in married couples where you have the both spouses working full time, moms tend to do the overwhelming majority of childcare, and that's certainly the case for housework as well. Another study found that moms spend roughly 18 hours per week doing housework, while fathers spend around 9 or 10 hours per week working around the house. So what I found, going through some of the research and everything, I came to the conclusion that moms are really the center of the household. I know that is definitely true in my house. It's kind of, I think it's a little funny. I'm sure my wife isn't crazy about it, but when she's at work, she'll get a text from our girls, from me, hey, can we do this? Where is this? I'll be like, hey, what should we have for dinner? And she's trying to work. and she's getting inundated with texts about, as if we need more permission from her to do something because she's really the center of our household. So does that reign true for you and your house?
Yes. And I recall even just a conversation with you that we've had before, when I was kind of venting out to you in general of just how it feels like I'm constantly the one who has to do it all. And you even gave me the advice of telling me to, okay, you got to kind of start divvying up delegate the jobs for other people. And I've been trying. It's hard because then you're also like, okay, never mind. Like, I'll just do it because you're just so used to doing it at that point. But yeah, I do. I feel it. I feel it too. It's hard.
I was just struggling with that myself. I made spaghetti and meatballs for dinner, and one of my stepdaughters loves Parmesan cheese on her spaghetti, but sometimes she gets a little messy and like the cheese goes all over. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to put it on her plate first so she doesn't. I was like, no, I can't do that. I need to delegate that job to her. So you're constantly having this battle with yourself that, sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and that's okay. So I figured, we opened up over the past 2 weeks. We've really been focusing on moms and some of the challenges that they're dealing with right now. And on our Facebook and Instagram, we opened up to some questions. So could we go through some of the questions that we got from some of the moms out there who were responding to our posts?
Yeah, I think that would be great. One of the questions was, how should I be managing virtual schooling? Which I agree with. So let's go for that question.
Okay. So, I think as a parent, our instinct is we have to be there. We have to be present. We have to be making sure, because they're not in school. We have to be kind of the teachers. And I know some parents are even sitting throughout the whole school day and trying to manage like lessons and are you paying attention and, stuff like their teacher would normally be doing. I think it's okay if you take a step back. If you're doing that, if you're trying to kind of micromanage your child's schooling, resist that urge to be the micromanager. Take a step back, allow them to do it. Allow the teacher to control the class, because the teachers are working really hard to do that. And it can be probably even more stressful if the teachers know, oh, mom is sitting in the corner of the room while her kid is like on the Zoom. The teachers are definitely dealing with that, and let's give our teachers a break. So it's okay to take a step out of the room, to check in from time to time. But your kid is really independent at school, and that's something you need to think about. Like, your kid goes to school, they're independent, they're doing their thing without too much work from other people helping them out. So once they're home and they're doing school at home, they can still be independent. It's okay. In fact, it's really important that they learn how to be independent while at home too.
It's kind of like that out of sight, out of mind, I think, for a mom too. It's like when they go to school, you're not thinking about it, but when they're constantly sitting in your living room or like right upstairs, you feel like you have to be on top of them. But
yeah. And as a parent, you're like, if you see them not paying attention, you're like, come on, pay attention. But you can only do so much.
No, I like that independence note. That's a good reminder for sure. Another question that we had, which going on the other end of my spectrum of children to the 2-year-old, how do I stay calm and present while my kid is having a meltdown?
Yeah. Well, I think this is true for parents of kids who are toddlers, but this is also true for parents of kids who are older, who are teenagers.
Especially now.
All kids have meltdowns, and whether that be like a temper tantrum, crying, terrible twos situation, or a teenager who doesn't want their phone taken away, who, is throwing kind of a teenage version of a temper tantrum. I think as parents, we have to really model the appropriate behavior as best we can. And I know, you can read any book on parenting and it'll tell you you can't engage when they're temper tantruming. You have to try your best to stay calm. But it's difficult. If you have somebody in the room who's yelling and screaming and crying at you, it's really hard to maintain that kind of level, calm focus. So I think in those moments, rather than try, like, if you think, oh, I can distract myself, or none of that is going to work. I think the best thing that will work is to really take a moment to assess, physiologically what is going on in your body. Oh, I notice my heart is racing right now. I feel like flushed in my face. I'm feeling my anger, my temper rising, and just take note of that. And we can reverse some of that by doing some deep breathing. I know that's a bit of a cliche. Okay, take a couple deep breaths, but when you really focus on that physiological response and really slow it down with long, deep breaths, it will help. It will definitely help. And then your kid sees, well, I'm not getting any response from my mom, and so maybe I can try a different reaction, or a different behavior, or whatever. So try. I think that might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, that's like one of the number one things when my kid is having either a breakdown, a meltdown, or just got hurt. Number one thing I say is take a deep breath, and then like I do
Yeah.
it with them, and we take 3 big breaths to chill them out. Usually, I mean, it doesn't always calm them down, because
Yeah.
telling them to do that doesn't always work. But
Yeah, that's hard.
I do agree with that tactic, though. It does help personally to just kind of
Yeah.
take a chill pill. But okay, so another one we got was, why does it feel like I'm working 2 full-time jobs with being at home, at work, and
Yeah, so for the moms out there who are working full time or part time, you go to work and your day is hectic, and you're dealing with all types of people, and whatever the job is, there's going to be some stress associated with it. Now, the problem is, as we were talking about a minute ago with the kind of statistics on parenting, the problem is a lot of moms come home and it's like this, what I've been told before, it's the start of second shift, where you are managing everybody's routines, and you might be doing the dishes, and you might be vacuuming and cleaning up and making sure lunches are ready for tomorrow, and everything that we were talking about before, as kind of being the head of the household, or being the center by which the house operates. And that's, no one should take on that responsibility. With a family, there should be shared responsibility all over. And what I normally tell people, and what, we were talking about it before, is get away from, or try to avoid being the micromanager, and delegate. You should be the supervisor, the overseer. Okay, you're going to do this, and you're going to do this, and you're going to do this. And even for younger kids, younger kids can take on the responsibilities of chores, and it doesn't just have to be like a situation where they do the chores once a week, and whatever. They should be a normal part of the functioning family, where they are also handling a lot of the responsibility, because it's not your job to do everything in the house. I can imagine you would probably struggle with this as well.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm mostly home 24/7 anyway, but I'm like the person who wears a bunch of different hats. I've got a bunch of different odd jobs and everything, and so yeah, I mean, it's exhausting. But one thing that I do love, a tip that I had heard from Brene Brown, was when you come home, when she would come home at the end of the day, knowing that you're coming home to, like you say, that second shift, she and her husband now always say, and so do the kids now, say, like, I'm at like a 20%, or like I'm at an 80. And if the other person is like, okay, well, I'm at like 75, I've got a little more than you, so I'll take on this, and you can, go take a chill pill and do what you need to do to build back up to get to like a 60%. And
I love that.
Yeah, me too. I really liked that. It's like, it takes a good partnership, and you got to get on that communication level too, just so that the other person that you're in this with, or kids or anybody, can get involved, to just be like, okay, I kind of need you to pick up the slack here, because I'm down here right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great. That's a great technique.
Yes. Okay. Now we've got another. Do other moms feel selfish when they are doing something for themselves?
Yeah, I hear this all the time from moms in particular. This idea of like, I feel like I'm being selfish when I go read a book or take a walk or go shopping or whatever it is that you do to recharge the batteries. Across the board, moms feel like I'm being selfish, that you should be doing something productive. You should be doing something for the kids or for your family or whatever. And that's all well and good, but if that's your philosophy, you're going to burn out quickly. And then the effects of the burnout, frustration and stress, you end up putting on the family as well. So rather than doing that, I'm a big proponent of doing at least one thing for yourself every day. Whether that be something exercise related or reading or watching a TV show that's just for you or whatever it is. I mean, there are a million projects or activities that you can get into, but find something that's just for you. And when you have that little nagging voice in your head that says you're being selfish, tell that voice to get lost, because there's nothing selfish about doing at least one thing for yourself every day. And like I said, if anything, it's going to have a benefit. It's going to be beneficial to your family.
Yeah, I agree. It's like for anybody who did read the post that I had written, at the end of it, I said you can't pour from an empty cup. And it's, if you can't take care of yourself at least a little bit, like you said, doing something a day, it will definitely result in many negative feelings, especially out and resentment and just a whole buildup. So,
yeah.
Okay, so now we've got one more. I think we got one more. How do I tell my spouse that I need help?
Well, that's a tough question because, your spouse, your partner in this whole deal, is a really important person in your life, and oftentimes we're great communicators with our partners. But sometimes there are things that we don't feel comfortable talking about with our partner. So, I think it's okay to, with certain things, the kind of practical or logistical kind of things at home, to maybe even take charge or kind of lead with like, okay, this is how we're going to be changing, with parenting, with giving out chores and other things, or trying out the strategy. This is what percent I'm at strategy that I really like. But I think sometimes it is difficult to have that conversation, even with the person we're closest with, of, I need more help than I'm getting right now. And that could mean a few different things. That could mean I need help from you. That could mean I need more attention from you, or that could mean I need help from somebody else. And that's kind of where I come in with being that extra person as a therapist, being that extra person to aid with support and things like that. So yeah, it's a tough conversation to have, and sometimes it might take a little while to prep for that kind of conversation, but it's a really important one to have on many different fronts.
I agree. The communication is a huge plus. I mean, even just getting it off your chest is like the biggest step and such a relief sometimes.
Yeah. Well, Kim, these were all of the questions that we got from our fans out there. Anyways, but thank you for being here. This is a really important conversation that we were having about moms. I'm glad that we focused on moms these last couple weeks. Any final notes that you have?
No, not really. I just really hope and push for moms who either feel alone and feel like they're misunderstood, or just maybe don't feel like they should, or don't feel the way that they're supposed to. I hope that they can understand that this is all normal, and that there is a light at the end of the tunnel of some of the dark days. So
Excellent. So if you are watching this now, feel free to comment. Feel free to direct message us. We're here to help, and we're here to listen. So thanks so much for watching. Thanks for being here, and stay tuned.
Yes.